Well, I appreciate so much the opportunity to participate in today's Women Tech Council Innovation Summit. We at Health Catalyst are big fans of the work that Sarah and Sydney and Kristen and others lead on behalf of this important cause. And I love this venue as well. Thanksgiving Point is a favorite place for our family. And just across the way here is farm country. And I recalled one of my favorite signs is right outside of farm country where there's a great petting zoo. Our family went there, and on the way out you see this sign that says, "Thank you for coming, and please check the bottom of your shoes for souvenirs." So I'm glad there are no souvenirs today in this show barn, but there have been some wonderful takeaways. I really appreciated the chance to hear the other keynote speakers and to learn from their experience. And I hope that today we might share a few insights from our Health Catalyst experience that would be helpful to you in your situation at your company. So let me start with the question, why would we focus so much on improving the career experience of women in tech? I wanted to share two insights, one specific to Health Catalyst and one more broad. So first, as it relates to Health Catalyst, we use this visualization of a flywheel to represent how we accomplish our mission as a company. We try to bring data, analytics, and expertise to bear to help our health system clients improve in measurable ways. And right at the center of all the aspects of our work in executing against that strategy is team member engagement. And I truly believe that our success as a company centers on our ability to attract, develop, and retain world-class team members who are highly engaged. And I believe that's the case for every company. And so I view it as my number one job as CEO, above all else, to work every day on the team member experience. And that includes needing to understand the team member experience of every single team member. And as I have considered the team member experience for our female colleagues at Health Catalyst and looked more broadly at the data, some of which has already been referenced, there is clear data that suggests we have much to improve. There's much need for action. Only a quarter of the tech jobs in the US are filled by women. When they do fill those jobs, they get paid less than their male counterparts. Let's see if I can get this to advance. If it were to advance, you could see, and you all know, that females make less than men. They're promoted at a much slower rate than their male counterparts to the C-suite and to the CEO level. They're twice as likely to leave a technology company. They're not signing up for STEM-related fields in their educational pursuits. And we see this manifested at Health Catalyst as well. Still having some clicker challenges. There's the decline. And the population at Health Catalyst of female team members is way below the overall population and highlights the need for improvement. So we've made this an area of focus for many years at Health Catalyst. What I wanted to do is share three problems that we have faced at Health Catalyst, believing that they may be problems that you are facing at your current companies. Some principles and practices that have helped us improve in that regard, again in the hopes that they may be applicable and helpful to you. So the first problem that I wanted to share was that of inconsistency. We observed through some unfiltered communication mechanisms that I found as the CEO are critical to maintain. How can I make sure I get unfiltered feedback as to what the experience of our team members is? And in this case, in a skip level one-on-one with a female team member, she shared this view of inconsistency that she and others of her female colleagues had experienced when they traveled to a client site with their male colleagues. They observed that when males traveled together, often they'd share an Uber, they'd have a meal in preparation together for a client meeting, but when it was a female colleague, they would change and be inconsistent in their behavior. This was really concerning to me. Likewise, in meetings, some female colleagues shared with me that there was often this different expectation. Someone noted a couple minutes ago this expectation that females should be the note takers, or that when a male and a female speak at the same time, there's this assumption that the male should continue and the female should pause. This was also really concerning to me. Really important for me as a male leader to spend time understanding and listening to this feedback, and then thinking about what principles could we emphasize to try to improve in this area. The principle that we emphasized in this case was respect. And we defined what we meant by respect with a couple of quotes. One, let's assume positive intent on all sides, that perhaps some of those male colleagues didn't understand the impact of their inconsistent behavior. So let's emphasize that when we interact with any of our colleagues, we should see someone who has immeasurable value, someone I can learn from. This is my respected colleague. When you apply that principle, your behavior improves naturally. And that can be reinforced with practices. And the practice that we used in this case was that of training. We rolled out and leveraged Google's unconscious bias training, which is now required training every year for every team member at Health Catalyst. We emphasized the importance of consistency in travel and meeting etiquette, and we've seen improvement. Okay, second example, pay disparity. We found particularly as female team members joined Health Catalyst, often they had a pay history that was well below their male counterparts in a similar position. So we wondered, what can we do? We can't necessarily solve all the problems that happen outside of Health Catalyst, but what happens when they're inside of Health Catalyst? We should be able to control that. The principle that we emphasized there was transparency. We courageously tell the truth and face the truth. We don't pretend that this is not a problem. Instead, we shine a light on this, and we work to fix it. And by doing so, we implemented a couple of practices that have made a big difference at Health Catalyst. And maybe we'll see them. Oh, there we go. There's the couple of practices. So one was pay acceleration for any team member who found themselves below a market-based range for any job, or we'd consistently job leveled, then they would be accelerated in their pay increases at Health Catalyst. This happened to disproportionately help our female teammates that had had that historical pay disparity. We also stopped asking about prior compensation as a way of determining the appropriate pay for any given job at Health Catalyst. And we've seen real improvement there. The last problem I'll share is an underrepresentation. Again, maybe we'll see it together here in a moment. It's coming. There we go. An underrepresentation of women in leadership positions. This is a problem throughout the tech ecosystem, and the Utah tech ecosystem, absolutely. And this was a challenge at Health Catalyst. What I realized in these skip level one-on-ones, and by responding to each Glassdoor review, and by reading the Gallup survey feedback from every 6 months, is that when female team members at every level in the company don't see leaders at the organization that are female, they don't feel that they have a bright career path. And so we needed to understand what was causing this and what could we do to improve. The principle that we used here was humility. This notion that we don't assume that we've gotten everything right, that we need to listen carefully, especially those of us who are male, that need to spend extra time trying to understand the experience of our female colleagues, and recognize that there are some practices that may have contributed to this challenge that we could change. And in our case, we did change. We started the practice about 18 months ago of posting every position that was new at Health Catalyst for internal and external purposes, and then using an interview team to interview the finalist candidates and make a selection. We believed, and this has played out and been the case, that this would naturally help us improve in this regard. And I'm very happy to share that our leadership team now at Health Catalyst includes 8 female leaders who are all the most qualified for the position in which they occupy. Let me conclude with one thought that's directed to those of us who are males in a company setting, who may be male leaders in a company setting. The principle that I have found incredibly important over the years is this quote from Stephen R. Covey, that it is incumbent upon us to seek first, to understand, to spend time deeply listening, carefully listening to the experience of our colleagues so that we can then apply the right principles, and take action. That's my hope for Health Catalyst, and it's my hope for all of you. Thank you very much.